Mr. President, I just want to respond very briefly to what our colleague from Oregon has said. And Senator Feinstein shared with me a copy of the text of the manager's amendment. I would just maybe make 2 points. One, if a private company elects to share information, they don't have to, but they elect to share information, as Senator Feinstein has said, it's at their call. But if they do, there's a requirement under the law that they scrub it. The reporting entity that's submitting the indicator, in this case to DHS or a federal entity, they've got to scrub it. They have responsibility at whoever is initiating this to scrub and remove that personally identifiable information. If for some reason they don't, the way the legislation comes before us today, in order for a company that chooses to submit threat indicators to the federal government, in order to get the liability, help on the liability protection that they're looking for, they have to submit it through the Department of Homeland Security, through the portal of the Department of Homeland Security, which is literally set up to do privacy scrubs. Literally set up to do privacy scrubs. And then to share information at once with other relevant federal agencies. Very infrequently will there be some reason to, maybe less than 1% of the time, the threat indicators coming through the portal at DHS, maybe less than 1% of the time, there might be a need to take a closer look at that information to make sure there's nothing that's personally identifiable or problematic. But I think with the compromise that's been worked out, the issue that their colleague has raised has been addressed. Let me just go back in time. Why is this important? We know the situation is grim. When the Secretary of Defense has his emails hacked by an entity, we don't know who. When we have 22 million personal records and background checks hacked by maybe the Chinese, maybe somebody else, that's not good. When companies in my own state like DuPont and universities all over the country are having their R&D, the intellectual seed corn on which our economy is going to grow, that information has been stolen, and presumably stolen for bad reasons so that they can beat us to the punch in terms of economic opportunity and exploring that. That's not good. That's not good. What are we going to do about it? Well, it turns out we've done quite a bit about it in the last Congress. Senator Feinstein down here 2 Congresses ago proposed comprehensive cybersecurity legislation, the whole kit and caboodle. And we tried very hard, as she knows, for a year or 2 to get that enacted. Couldn't get it done. Couldn't get it done. And finally, we gave up at the end of that was, I think, the 212th Congress. Gave it up at the end of 2012. And we started again in 2013. Tom Carper was the ranking member on Homeland Security. I was privileged to be chairman. And he and I partnered with the people on our committee, and frankly, with a lot of folks outside of our committee, to do 3 things to strengthen the ability, the capability of the Department of Homeland Security to do their job. A better job, a much better job with protecting not just the federal government, but the country as a whole against cyber attacks. We passed 3 pieces of legislation. They are helpful, not the whole package, but they are the 3 very helpful bills to make DHS a better, more effective partner in all of this. This year, the Intel Committee under the leadership of Senator Burr, Senator Feinstein come forward with their proposal. The administration, the president, comes forward with an information sharing proposal as well. We hold a hearing in the Committee on Homeland Security, looking at the president's proposal and trying to figure out what should we retain here, what should we change to make it better. And we did. We changed it, we made it better. I introduced that as a standalone bill. The Intel Committee reported out their legislation 14-1, and we've been working with Senator Burr, Senator Feinstein, and their staff ever since to try to infuse the elements of the president's proposal, modified by us on Homeland Security, to make a more perfect, not a more perfect union, but a more perfect bill. Is it perfect? No. Is it better? Sure, it's better. And I think it's going to enable us to do a much better job protecting that which needs to be protected. The last thing I say is this. On this floor, I said more than a few times, I love to ask people who have been married a long time, what is the secret to a long marriage? And the best answer I've ever gotten is the 2 C's, communicate and compromise. I would add a 3rd C, and that's also important for a vibrant democracy, communicate and compromise. And I would add a 3rd C. The 3rd C is collaborate. Collaborate. And on this legislation, it's a great example of communicating, talking with one another, with stakeholders in Capitol Hill, off of Capitol Hill, across the country, around the world. But at the end of the day, to figure out how to compromise and to do so by collaborating. And we come up, I think, with a very good piece of legislation. At the end of the day, If an entity or a business wants to share information, I hope they would. We need them to do that. They want to share that information with the federal government. The idea is to get liability protection, share it through the portal of the Department of Homeland Security, that information scrubbed, cybersecurity scrubbed, privacy scrubbed, shared with other federal agencies as appropriate after it's been dutifully scrubbed. And then we're in a better position to defend against those attacks in the future. I think that when people send us to work on big problems, and this is a big problem for our country, they want us to work together. They want us to work together. They want us to get stuff done. We've been talking about this for 3 or 4 years. Now we have an opportunity to get something done. Let's pass this and accept this, a manager's amendment, and then let's take up and debate some of the other amendments and pass this bill and send it to the House. They've done their work. Let's go to conference. Thank you very much.